Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Wednesday evening where Atletico Madrid have gone into halftime with Galatasaray while sharing the spoils in a one-all draw at halftime. That game is into halftime, while the other game between Karabakh and Eintracht Frankfurt is equally destined for halftime, with the scores level at 1-1. So today we are early. It's 34 minutes past 9 p.m. that we are coming to you live. The reason for that is because I have some, responsibilities to take care of later in the night. So I decided instead of forfeiting this broadcast, I'm better off doing it earlier. Otherwise, if I'm to stick to our late time, then it may come an hour or so later than it should be. So, but again, we will see. In case I can make it back, you never know. It's a UEFA Champions League night. Anything can happen. I will be speaking some transfers because Arsenal's Ethan Wanyeri has, traveled to Marseille in France to complete that move from Arsenal to Olympic Marseille on loan until the remainder of the season. Then, okay, there's an ongoing debate raging on online between the Manchester United team of 2008, 2007, 2008, the one that had the likes of Carlos Tevez, Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Nemanja Vidic, Rio Ferdinand, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs. There's an ongoing debate of whether, and this debate came up last night during Arsenal's UEFA Champions League game. I think it was brought up by Theo Walcott, asking Wayne Rooney whether he thinks they will beat up against, this Arsenal side. And Wayne Rooney said, yeah, they will trust that they would batter them, is the exact word that he used, battering. And as much as that is true as an opinion, also I'm of the opinion that it may not be as simple as it makes it sound in that sort of a submission. The team in itself was really, really talented. Of course, working post scores in that midfield. Very, very wonderful team. But make no mistake, this Arsenal team, the way they are well drilled, the way they are defensively solid, of course, if you take away the previous referring biases that were very synonymous with Manchester United, trust me, it would have a very, very beautiful game. Cristiano Ronaldo will, gives people some, difficult evenings. Wayne Rooney, very, very strong, very pacey. The way Arsenal apply themselves, what compels me to think that United side would still beat them is how they give away spaces in behind that defense, because they play with a very high line. That's William Saliba at Gabriel Magalhaes. But when it comes to the physical duels, I think they would be up to the task in that regard or in that context. So yeah, that's my view on that one. In case you guys were wondering where my stand. Of course, it's a broader debate. It's a broader debate than we would simplify it in a mere simple argument. But I do feel that, yeah, that would be quite the match and to quite to experience. But I mean, when I look at this Arsenal side, I look at a side who in 5 games this season have denied teams an attempt on goal, and not just any simple teams. Liverpool been one of those. I'm talking about this kind of team who Manchester City, with all their strength, went up against and decided to play a defensive game. We are talking about an Arsenal team who in the UEFA Champions League have only conceded 2 goals in 7 games. So, that's the kind of team that you're talking about. And Mikel Arteta was being asked whether he himself would break through, would break through this very starting 11, and he didn't seem too convinced or sure of himself. Then I think it was Theo Walcott who asked whether he himself would penetrate into it. And then once again, Mikel Arteta appeared to say maybe you get some minutes, but not guaranteed starting. And then also, the other is this is Juango says Juango Lagos says amen. Supertube says yo, what's up? Good to have you, Supertube. I kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. So that's been the sort of debate or that has been making the headlines on social media in regards to Arsenal and Manchester United over whether that 2008 team could batter this Arsenal side. I'm not convinced that battering would be the case. Saved by Love says, I have noticed wolves. I don't know what you imply by that, but thank you so much for joining the broadcast. People who look like lights but aren't. Okay. Anyways, so it's an ongoing debate. I think when you take it pound for pound, player for player, you could say that Man United side were more talented. I think that's something you and I can agree upon. That Man United team were more talented, because when you have a Ballon d'Or winner in Cristiano Ronaldo, when you have Wayne Rooney, who for multiple seasons was top scorer and player of the year. When you look at players like Paul Scholes, we know all about their legendary status. Roy Keane, his leadership. When you look at a player like Ryan Giggs, when you look at Nemanja Vidic, twice I think he was player of the season. Then you look at Edwin van der Sar in goal. So really, it was quite really talented. Then when you look at Arsenal's best team right now, David Raya, very very astute goalkeeper, and for people who would be quick to make the argument, oh yes, he's a good goalkeeper, but he doesn't start on the Spanish national team, then when it comes to that debate, I have a feeling it's more about a manager's preference over Unai Simon than it is of a lack of ability for David Raya, or being behind in terms of talent. Pedro says, Gugu Gaga, I've been collecting them. I can show you. Oh, they preach but practice witchcraft. Oh, okay. Go ahead and show them. Who says that? Guess. Yes, Robert, I'm back. Always a pleasure to have you around, Pedri. Always a pleasure to have you around. Guys, I'm struggling with internet. Why? Because my ISP, in their bid to block VPN inspired traffic, my internet is horribly slow. Even when sometimes I put off the VPNs and I'm not trying to access social media, I'm trying to access other things, sometimes the internet is incredibly slow. So please forgive me for the delayed uploads. Because I did upload some shots earlier on, but they came late because of that, and so many things I've been unable to do in terms of work, off of Football Tribe and things like that, because of the internet, antagonization that is ongoing currently. So why is he talking about witchcraft? I do not know. When you follow the comments, I really did not grasp them. He talked about people who look like light but aren't. I think he's talking about people who look straightforward, but in actual sense they are not. Or I don't know. I will leave the channel forever. Pedri, do you fear witchcraft? Do you believe in witchcraft? Do you know it exists, or it's a mystery? Is it something that is within the localities of Spain? What's the context they're in? Anyway, it's not the topic or subject of this particular conversation, but yeah. Anyways, like I said, Atletico Madrid go into halftime with at 1-1. Giuliano Simeone did score in the 4th minute to give Atletico de Madrid, the lead, while Marcos Llorente scored into the back of his own net, unfortunately, to restore a parity for the home side. And then it's been a 50-50 kind of game, not much to separate the two sides. The only difference is that Atletico de Madrid have had an extra shot on goal as compared to Galatasaray. But yeah, it's been that kind of game so far. We're talking about the Galatasaray side that has already welcomed back Victor Osimhen. In their starting 11. Of course, they have Lucas Torreira in there, Mario Lemina, Leroy Sané, Yilmaz, some of Davinson Sanchez in the back there. Then, of course, when it comes to Atletico de Madrid, the usual suspect, Jan Oblak, Ruggeri at left back, Hanko, Pubil, Llorente, Simeone, Koke, Boris, Almada, Alvarez, and Alexander Soroth. I do wonder why players like Alex Baina are not starting. I do wonder why what's that guy that was signed, Johnny Cardoso, is not starting. But it's Diego Simeone making the selection. Can you ban him, please? Really, I did not take much offense in what he said or what he did. I don't know why he said it, but so Luca says, "You is my brother." Thank you so much, Luca. Good always to have you back. So I'm not one to always quick to ban people, by the way, even when people have said some derogatory statements or insulting statements on the channel, I usually ignore them as opposed to blocking them, unless somebody persists with, unworthy comments. How are you? Speak Spanish? That is Sylvia is asking whether I speak Spanish. Not much Spanish. I only, I got a few words that Pedri was teaching me here. Not that I even remember them off of my fingertips. Oftentimes I have to go back to, that script and, Buenos dias, means good morning, and como estás? How are you? That's the best I can go. But Pedri, engage our colleague here, Sylvia, in Spanish. Okay, bro. Thank you so much. But kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel while you're still with us there. So that's the game between Atletico de Madrid and Galatasaray as we speak. Then the other game, like I told you, is between Eintracht Frankfurt and Karabakh. Karabakh, for me, have been one of the surprise packages in this season is UEFA Champions League. Not because they've done wonders, really, but because there are certain things that they've done or the games that they've won, and they've been a surprise. You remember on match day 1, they went away to Benfica and beat Benfica by 3-2, coming from 2 goals down, leading to the sacking of Bruno Lage at the time at Benfica. So, but they did open the scoring through Camilo Duran, and then Kan Uzan did score in the 10th minute. That goal for Karabakh came in the 4th minute, while Kan Uzan scored in the 10th minute to restore parity. There, okay. Let me see. This is Modona says buenas. Okay, that is in Spanish. Pedri, can you help me there? You can use quital, which means how are you as well. Oh, quital. I hope I won't murder those words in trying to pronounce them. But I do. By the way, I don't know if Spanish and Mexican are related, but I do find those languages sexy, like interesting to speak. Giacomo is saying hi from Venezuela. Oh, wow. Okay, hi to you too, Giacomo. How is Venezuela? Has everything settled down given the recent political events that took place? I wish you the best of luck and peace in your country. Good afternoon, my friend. How are you? I like eight. I am from Venezuela, new subscriber. Thank you so much, Giacomo. And then he says, gracias, or thank you to Pedri there. Gracias to you too, Giacomo. Now, Venezuela. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Venezuelan football, but I do know that they're good at team when they play in the the South American competition, and then the recent events, the recent political events have left my eyebrows raised and sort of chilly, to say the least. Given what's happened to your former president now, Maduro, and you know, and everything. But all I do pray is that you have a peaceful country, one that you can enjoy living in. Spanish and Mexico are the same, but different words and pronunciation. Okay, I've always imagined so. I've always imagined so. For example, somebody says etiendo, and then another person said etiendes, all the same to mean understand. And then I thought, is one pronouncing them gangster style, or it's just a difference of region? The same way where you have Americans, let's say from New York, having a difference in pace and enunciation of words compared to maybe Americans from Virginia or from California, or the way you have the British, and things like that. So sometimes I do wonder words in terms of spelling, like we say reserva in Mexico, they say reservation, okay, to mean reservation, okay, like restaurant, okay, I get you, I get you, I get you. To Espanol is good. Okay, all right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant engagement on the language part there. I'm one of those people, like I said, I've said this before. I do have a liking for people that are really, really good with languages. I find, I don't know, they often pass for intelligent people, people that can speak many languages. I often pass them for intelligent people. It's not a given, but yeah. Anyways, those games have returned for the second half between Galatasaray and Atletico de Madrid, just as much as the game between Karabakh and Eintracht Frankfurt. But we know that both teams are fighting to secure a place in the playoffs. Atletico de Madrid hoping that they can secure a place in the top eight. If they can win. Then they will be able to move to 15 points, which places them in the top eight. That means potential direct qualification. While for Karabakh, they are hoping, they are currently 22nd on the standings with 8 points as the result stands at the moment. If they can win, they can go to 9 points, which puts them in those playoff places. So really, really, understandable. Spanish, French, English, Arabic, German. Oh, those are the languages you speak? Wow. Oh, Giacomo. Giacomo says he also speaks Italian. Okay, that's impressive. But Pedri, wow, how many language classes have you taken? I mean, that's good to have. Maybe you should add Mandarin to your catalog of languages. Pedri Bola is back with us. Says a prediction for Barcelona. That's he's speaking in reference to the games that are kicking off at 11 p.m. East African time tonight, where Olympic Marseille will be up against Liverpool, Newcastle take on PSV Eindhoven, Slavia Praha welcome Barcelona, Juventus up against Benfica, while Chelsea are up against Pafos, Bayern Munich up against Union St. Louis, while Atlanta take on Athletic Bilbao. The prediction for I went for a 3-1 victory for Barcelona in favor of Barcelona against Slavia Praha. I feel that they would want to recover from that weekend defeat against Royal Sociedad, and also given that they do not look too good in terms of the standings or the table, so they would want to avoid anything like dropping points today. They wouldn't want a loss, later on a draw. So nothing. They simply want a win. It's a win that will put them, on the right side or right standing over that table. Currently, they are 15th with 10 points. So meaning a victory can take them to 13 points, which could easily propel them to maybe the top 8 or possibly within 9th, 10th, within between 9th and 13th thereabout, depending on how other results go. So for me, my prediction is 3-1. Pedri Bola says 4-1 is his prediction, while the other Pedri says, I think it will be Barcelona winning it by 5-1. Where are you from, brother? I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. Pedri Bola, you're my brother. I don't know what you mean by just Lamine isn't there. Yeah, he's suspended, having accumulated 5 yellow cards. Found that a little bit odd for a player of I don't want to say his decency, but for a player who plays in a forward position, rarely do you find such players getting suspended for accumulating yellow cards that quickly. Rashford needs a masterclass. I think he's capable of delivering. I think how guys, Barcelona fans are on the broadcast. How would you rate Marcus Rashford on a scale of 1 to 10, given how so far the season is gone? How would you rate his overall performances for Barcelona, or his performance in Barcelona colors? Of course, he's already been part of a team that went on to win a title already. When you guys beat up against Real Madrid by 3-2. Was it 3-2? Yes. For the Supercopa Hispana, Pedri Bola puts it at a 7. Okay, Pedri Bro, OFC, Vitinha or Pedri. We've had that debate before on the broadcast. Pedri Bola says is from India. Okay. Team India, good to have you. Always a pleasure to see somebody from India. I really, really appreciate that. People from India for the love and support they've shown me on this channel over the last 1 year, particularly. They've been really, really kind. And you say Marcus Rashford is good for the long-term bench, not enough pressing, good energy off the bench. His season so far is a 6.5 out of 10, not far off with Pedri Bola, who gave him a 7. I think I certainly agree with the averages of both figures. A 6.5, a 6.8, a 7, wherever you land it. After all, if you round it off, it still goes to 7. So I certainly do agree with you guys on that. Apologies on that. I did accidentally kick my tripod. Pedri wins. Pedri. Let's agree, Pedri. First of all, in that debate of Vitinha and Pedri, first of all, you're prejudiced, and which is okay. You're sort of biased in a good way, or your objectivity is in question, in my opinion, over the comparisons of the two players. Why? Because 1, you get to watch Pedri week in, week out. 2, he is a brilliant player without a doubt, and contender for Ballon d'Or last campaign, as was Vitinha. I've said this before. The beauty about both players is you can play them in the same team. However, going by performances over the last 1 year, from what I've seen, I'll go with Vitinha ahead of Pedri. In my opinion, I'll go with Vitinha. Why? Because for everything that Pedri does right, Vitinha went on to add some goals to that. So it's more like a bit of a plus that he got, particularly if we are grading them based on their performances from last season. Like I said, both players were excellent, but I'll tilt towards Vitinha. Um, then okay, you say, have you ever watched a match live in a stadium and not in a European stadium, but I've watched a live match locally? Um, I'll tell you, Vitinha is better than Casado. I am honest, but Pedri is just on another level. Again, it's just a difference of opinion. Yes, I watched the AFCON final. Oh, Pedri had said he would travel for the AFCON final. Barcelona El Clasico last week also. Um, Barcelona El Clasico last week? Or you mean the other week? So yeah, so there's no doubt. There's no doubt that those are two brilliant players. But I've told you why I would tilt towards Vitinha more. Also in Saudi Arabia, okay. Oh, you're talking about the games you watched live, the Super Cup final. Okay, Pedri appears to be a frequent, match day goer compared to any of us. My love match going is in front of a TV. That's where it is. I've never gotten the chance to, to travel out and go to many live games. But yeah, I've watched a couple of local or domestic games live. I remember watching a game between Vipers and KCCA. I think a one between Brighton and KCCA. Sorry, not Brighton. Bright Stars. Yes, it's called, the club is called Bright Stars. Then I remember watching another. I think it was a CAF Champions League game. You know. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. I think that's about it for the UEFA Champions League. Like I said, we had given our predictions. Let me see if I can. What do you think the probable lineup will be for Barcelona for today's fixture? If you're Hansi Flick, who do you start? Bright Stars, yes. What is that? Is this an academy or something? It's a football club in Uganda. They were since relegated from the top flight to the big league, but it's called Bright Stars. They were under the sponsorship of a a car, an automotive importing company called Yoshino, who were their name sponsors. So they were called Yoshino Bright Stars at some point. I do not know if that's changed since then following their relegation. But yeah, in the context, okay. Okay, here is the confirmed lineup for Barcelona. Joan Garcia, Alejandro Balde, Gerard Martin, Eric Garcia, Jules Koundé, Frankie de Jong, Pedri, Rafinha, Fermin Lopez, Ronnie Badge, as well as Robert Lewandowski. How do you guys feel about that starting 11? Are you confident it will get the job done, or do you have doubts about what will come of it? What do you make of it? Very, very, very strong team there that they do assemble. Maybe I've not watched enough of Ronnie Badge to formulate an opinion about him. I'll be honest. So forgive me if me I would opt for at least a Marcus Rashford. He's a bit of a known quantity to me. Or if I were to ask for, I don't know, a Danny Olmo, maybe. That's my opinion about that. That is the team I want to see. All right. Oh, surprised you say that's the team you want to see when it has Robert Lewandowski included in it. Oftentimes, you did seem apprehensive about Lewandowski, but good to see that you've changed. Ronnie Badge is amazing for his price. We paid 1 million. Okay. Then Liverpool have brought Alson Ramsey-Baker, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Alexis McAllister, Ran Gravenberch, and Dominic Soboslai. Fran Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, and Mohamed Salah are the starters in that one. Now for their game against Olympique Marseille. On the side of Olympique Marseille, they have Geronimo Rulli in goal. They have Benjamin Pavard, Leonardo Baldi. They have Facundo Medina, they have Amia Moriro, they have Timothy Weah, Geoffrey Kandogobia. Oh, Geoffrey Kandogobia. He, I don't remember his name. Pierre Emile Hoiberg. They have Traore, they have Mason Greenwood, and Amin Gori as the starters for that Olympic Marseille side. Geoffrey Kandogobia is used to be a prominent name alongside William. I think it was William Carvalho. Oftentimes they were being linked with the potential moves to some big clubs within Europe during his prime. And I know he's now 32, but he's had a fairly good career. Yes, he did play for Valencia at some point and Atletico de Madrid between 2020 and 2023. I think William Carvalho played for Real Betis at some point. So yeah, very exciting player. Also had this thing. I prominently remember him at Sevilla before he made the move to AC Monaco, and then also played for Inter Milan. Kandogobia is so forgotten. He played for Valencia and then Atletico here in the La Liga. Yes, he was a very good holding midfielder. He was a very good holding midfielder. Him and William Carvalho were sort of rose through the ranks in and around the same time. There for those two holding midfielders. So that's a very strong, starting 11 for Olympic Marseille. I don't know. It may promise to be a high-scoring fixture between Liverpool and Marseille, although Liverpool have sort of struggled in a way to find the back of the net in some of their last few games this season. Then let's have a look at Chelsea's starting 11 for their game against Pafos. They do have Felipe Jorgensen. They have Malo Gusto, Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile, Joel Hato at left back, Richie James in midfield, alongside Moises Caicedo, Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Alejandro Garnacho, and Liam Delap. Those are the players starting for Chelsea. On the bench, they do have Pedro Henrique Fortura. They have Nani. Oh, sorry. They do have Robert Sanchez, Marco Correa, Trevor Chalobah, Joshua Achepong, Andre Santos, Reggie Walsh, Eminalo, Jamie Gittens, Joao Pedro, Tariq George, McQuay, as well as William Esteval. That's for Chelsea. I'm so dumb, I forgot Cancelo isn't registered on the UEFA Champions League team squad. Okay. No, you're not dumb. It can't slip your mind, especially when you're eager to see a player return to your squad and play for you. I think we can register him to play in the UEFA Champions League for the round of 16. Will be brilliant to have. And then quickly, let's look at who Bayern Munich have fielded tonight for their game against Union St. Manuel Neuer in goal, Guerrero, Kim Min-jae, Jonathan Tah, Tim Bischoff, then Joshua Kimmich, Pavlovic in that midfield, then Michael Olise, Leonard Karl, Luis Diaz, and Harry Kane. My prediction for Bayern Munich, I think, was what? A 5-1 win against Union St. Cloisy. Excuse me. I do expect an emphatic victory at their former team Bayern Munich. Okay. Let's look at Newcastle's starting 11 for their game against PSV Eindhoven. Alexis McAllister brother plays for Union St. Okay, that's brilliant. Newcastle have Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier, Malik Theo, Seven Botman, Lewis Hall, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, Jolinton, Harvey Barnes, Yohan Wissa, Anthony Gordon are the starters in that 4-3-3 system, while PSV have players like Ivan Perisic, they have Gastil, Dennis Mann, Jay Van Man, Verman, as some of the players to look out for in that fixture tonight. Then quickly, I wanted us to look at the fixture. Sorry, the starting 11 for Juventus. Juventus are at home against Benfica there, but they do have Michel Di Gregorio in goal. They do have Kalulu, Bremer, Lloyd Kelly in their back three. Winston McKennie, Manel Locatelli, Crepin Thuram, Andre Cambiaso, Fabio Miretti. They have Kenan Yildiz and Jonathan David leading the lines there for Juventus. Remember, Juventus under the charges of Luciano Spalletti, who replaced Ugo Tudo. I'll pay millions to have a ban. I'll pay millions to have a ban bench player. Why is Alphonso Davies being benched? Well, I think maybe it's about his fitness. Alphonso Davies's talent is nothing to question, but his overall fitness is always far from its best. It's always far from its best. He's a very, very injury-prone player. The way you see David Alaba at Real Madrid. So he's that kind of player, really. But yeah. So the likes of Francesco Consecao are on the bench. Really? Guys, what happened to Dusan Vlahovic? What happened to Dusan Vlahovic? Some point he was a hotcake in Europe, in European football, as a striker. We know that there's been a shortage of strikers in European football for a little bit of time, and he was one of the hotcakes when he left Fiorentina to join Juventus. But in recent times, I don't know. I hope his fate doesn't end up like that of Andrea Bellotti, because at one time, Andrea Bellotti, coming through the ranks at Torino, was one of the hotcakes for striking talents that there was in Europe. But suddenly he bubbled around and never got to live to his full potential. Him and a couple of other figures, the likes of Nicolo Zaniolo, who had a stint with Aston Villa on loan. I think Manuel Pellegrini turned out okay. Lorenzo Pellegrini, I think that's the name, at AC Roma. I think he turned out fairly okay. So let's hope for the best for those players as well. Today's game for Benfica is a must-win against Juventus if they are to brighten their chances of qualifying for the knockout stages of the competition. There, the likes of Pavlidis will have to inspire them to a victory for that Jose Mourinho side, which play with a 4-2-3-1 kind of system there for Jose Mourinho. He had a good run, but it was brought to an end. I think it was about 11 games unbeaten, but it was brought to an end. I don't know if in a frustrating manner, but yeah, shit happens. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I thought I would look at a little bit of transfer news, but my internet is failing me for the things that I needed to pull out for you in reference to some of the updates that are coming out. But yeah, Jean-Philippe Mateta did inform Crystal Palace that he would like to leave the club, and amidst a strong interest from Aston Villa, who are also interested in signing Tammy Abraham from AC Roma on loan, currently on loan to Besiktas. So they want to cancel that loan, and then he goes to Aston Villa. So then Bournemouth did reach an agreement with the Brazilian winger. What's his name? Ryan. I think Ryan, for about £30 million. That deal is in the workings. So yeah, it's been really, really incredible. But yeah, Jean-Philippe Mateta, I mean, contract negotiations with him have not been quite successful with Crystal Palace. Now, I don't know. I do envision a very, very difficult period for Crystal Palace because losing your captain in McCoy, then if you, God forbid, go on to lose Jean-Philippe Mateta over the summer, I think, I do not know, I'm not convinced that Adam Wharton will stay. He could be a man on demand. So I understand they have to make money, but I also, they must protect, a certain fair share of that, the core of that team. But then I also understand the conundrum they find themselves in, especially with players that are running out of contract. So, for example, £20 million are for McKay when he made the switch to Manchester City. That was a no-brainer because you then stand to lose him for free in the summer and not make a single penny. And £20 million is quite a significant fee for a team like Crystal Palace. So Jean-Philippe Mateta, not the most ideal time to cash in out on him, but if there's good money, you take it. You take it, but then you risk having to fight for your life when it comes to relegation for the remainder of the 16 games. And we know that while Crystal Palace had a fairly, good start to the season, they've since dropped to as low as 13th on the Premier League log with 7 wins, 7 draws, and 8 losses. That means they need what? They need about 12 points to almost guarantee their safety in as far as relegation is concerned, because you need, to hit that 40-point mark if you are to stay clear of relegation, threats. So it's not a good place to be for Steve Parish, the Crystal Palace chairman. Nor is it for Oliver Glasner, but at least Oliver Glasner has already informed the club that he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Whoever walks in, reports are currently indicate that Coventry City manager Frank James Lampard is in the running or is the key target for Crystal Palace as their main candidate for the replacement of Oliver Glasner with another manager from Spain. I'm forgetting his name. But those speculations are ongoing as Steve Parish looks to, fill that vacant role. Frank Lampard may be doing wonders at Coventry City, but I'm not yet too convinced about him. I'm not yet too convinced about him. He did well with Derby County, didn't do well with Everton, nor with Chelsea. So I'm still very, very unconvinced about him. He'll have to prove me over a long run. But perhaps, maybe, because, Crystal Palace, team with very limited resources. I know he's worked with that before. Let's see how things go. See how things go in the coming days and over the summer. Sorry, coming months, actually, should be the right word to use because we're still in January. And those movements, do not expect them to happen until late May or June, thereabout, or even later on July. So, yeah, as far as things go. Galatasaray and Atletico de Madrid, that game is still 1-1, as is the game between Karabakh and Eintracht Frankfurt. So you're not missing out on much. Julian Alvarez was withdrawn in the 73rd minute for Gonzalez, as Atletico Madrid find ways to try and win that game. Okay, let me see if I can pull up something here quickly. God damn it. This thing about social media blockage is really, really frustrating. Okay, Manchester City will refund fans who made the trip to Bodo Glimt in Norway and watch the club's shock 3-1 loss to on Tuesday. Club captains Bernardo Silva, Ruben Diaz, Lodri, and Bert Erling Haaland have released a joint statement. Our supporters mean everything to us. We know the sacrifice that our fans make when they travel across the world to support us home and away, and we will never take it for granted. They are the best fans in the world. We also recognize that it was a lot of traveling for the fans who supported us in the freezing cold throughout a difficult evening for us on the pitch. Um, then covering the cost of these tickets for the fans who traveled to Bordeaux is the least we can do. That's a statement, a joint statement from those three Manchester City players in um, for Manchester City. That's for Bernardo Silva, Ruben Diaz, and Bart Erling Haaland. Um, let's see. Okay. Um, yes. Yes, the player that both are speaking about earlier on is called Ran from Vasco da Gama. He did agree to a 5.5 year contract with AFC Bournemouth and will be traveling on Friday to finalize that move that is worth £30 million. David Luiz returns to Stamford Bridge. Former Chelsea defender is now with Pafos. Remember, he plays for Pafos there. So a return for a former Blue. By the way, David Luiz has played for some really brilliant clubs. Chelsea, twice. He's played for Arsenal. He's played for PSG. You know, Then Tottenham did make a surprise inquiry about a Somerville valued by West Ham at around £25 million. I don't know why West Ham would even consider weakening themselves further in an already weak side. Jean Philippe Mateta had been prioritizing a Serie A move. Milan, that's AC Milan, and Juventus. Um, and Juventus are the two clubs that have explored the transfer at different points between now and last summer. Mateta also open to a Premier League switch as well as providing his terms, provided his terms are met. Now, when you go to to Aston Villa, of course they do have Daniel Malin who could exit if they do get Mateta. Then also they have Oli Watkins, and then with Tammy Abraham being targeted. So, you know, then former Nigeria captain for the Super Eagles, William Trust Ekong, has joined Qatari side Al Ali Sports Club after leaving Saudi Pro League outfit Al Kolod there. So for the ex-Nigeria international, remember he retired from a national team of football. Then Blackpool did confirm the signing of Michael Obafemi on loan from Burnley. So that deal is equally complete. Let me see if there's anything else we can pick up on in regards to transfers. Okay. No, that's not it. Ethan Wanyeri has been speaking to the media upon his arrival in Marseille. He did say, William Saliba told me Olympique Marseille is one of the best clubs in the world. Roberto Di Zerbi is also one of the best coaches in the world. So it looks like he will be glad to work under one of the best, Roberto Di Zerbi, rumored to be among the candidates that Manchester United could consider for their permanent role there, Roberto Di Zerbi. Then Yusuf El Nasiri will decide his future soon with several clubs keen after Napoli and Juventus. Aston Villa also called in the last 24 hours. Villa have been working on Tammy Abraham deal for days, agreed on players' side, but still not with Besiktas. Italian clubs remain keen. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Then Aston Villa did have asked for Ruben Loftus check conditions. Initial talks after Kamara injury, as reported earlier on by the Telegraph. I understand AC Milan also started talks over potential new contract days ago. No decision made yet for the former Chelsea player, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So yeah, those are some of the major transfer dealings going on. We know for a fact I think it was Leeds that inquired about the availability of Jürgen Strand Larsson from Wolverhampton Wanderers. But I don't think that deal will go through. I don't know. Who was Jose Mourinho taking a dig at? Because while speaking to the Italian press during his press conference ahead of the Juventus game, he said people who have done nothing are coaching the biggest teams. For me, it's just a surprise when coaches with no history, no body of work get the chance to manage the world's top clubs. It's a real surprise. When AC Milan hires Maximiliano Allegri or Juventus hires Luciano Spalletti or Roma hires Gian Piero Gasperini, it's never a surprise to me. The surprise is when people who have done nothing land big jobs. Wow. Looks like he's taking no steps in there for the likes of the Mikel Artetas of this world. Frank Lampard managed Chelsea. Zabi Alonso. But I mean, he's done something. I don't know. Wayne Rooney wants to see Gabriel Jesus pushing Mikel Arteta to start for Arsenal versus United this weekend. For Gabriel Jesus now, I'll be saying I want to start the game on Sunday. He's come to Milan, scored 2 goals and played really well. So if I were him, I would be putting it in the manager's mind that I really want to play. Of course, you respect your teammates, but you want to be playing in the big games. That's Wayne Mark Rooney there. Okay. I think that's it for me tonight. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Thank you so much, Pedri. Thank you so much, Giacomo, Giacomo, Pedri Bola. Who else? Who else? Slavia, Luca, Mela, Saved by Love, and every single one of you that managed to catch tonight's podcast. It's been a pleasure doing this with you for the last 52 minutes, coming on to 53. Let's do this again tomorrow at 9 a.m. as we review or as we react to whatever we'll have observed from the UEFA Champions League tonight in those games for Liverpool, Barcelona, and beyond. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.